If you've been thinking about buying a home in Kansas City, you've probably heard a lot of conflicting information about what the market is actually like right now. Some people say it's a great time to buy, and others say maybe you should wait.
Today, we're going to cut through all the noise and give you the straight facts about what's really happening in the Kansas City real estate market right now. The good and the bad, so you can make the best decision for your situation.
My name is Mason, and this is my twin brother, Micah. We're local real estate agents right here in Kansas City, and we help people relocate to the KC Metro. And if you're thinking about making a move, we'd love to help you navigate this market. You can find all of our contact info in the description, as well as a link to book a quick call with us.
All right, let's start with the big picture. Right now, Kansas City is technically in what we would call a seller's market. What that means is there are more buyers looking for homes than there are homes available to buy. For our market, this is nothing new. We've been in similar conditions for quite a while now.
Now, it's not as extreme as it was a couple of years ago when homes were flying off the market in a day or two, but sellers still have a bit of an advantage right now.
To give you a little bit of context, we're currently sitting at about 2.2 months of inventory in the KC Metro. What that means is if there are no new homes that come on the market, it would take about 2.5 months to sell through all the homes that are currently listed. Historically, a balanced market sits somewhere around 4 to 6 months of inventory, so we're still well below that. That lower inventory is what gives sellers a bit more leverage when it comes to pricing and negotiations.
Now let's talk about home prices, because that's probably one of the first things you want to know. The current median home price in the Kansas City Metro is around $357,000. That's up about 2.2% from last year, so we're still seeing some price growth, but it's a lot more moderate than what we saw the peak of the market a few years ago.
One of the things we love about Kansas City is how affordable it is compared to a lot of other major metros across the country. Let's put that $357,000 number into perspective. If you look at a market like Denver, the median home price is right around $575,000, which is over $200,000 more than what you'll find here. Minneapolis sits at about $348,000, which is pretty close to us, but even Chicago comes in slightly higher at around $365,000.
What this tells you is that Kansas City offers a really solid value compared to other metros that provide similar amenities, job markets, and quality of life. You're getting a lot more home for your money here, and that's one of the reasons we see so many people relocating here from more expensive markets.
Homes in Kansas City are actually taking an average of about 49 days to sell. That's a pretty reasonable time frame, and it shows that the market is still moving, but it's not as frantic as it was a couple of years ago when homes were going under contract in just a few days. This is actually good news for buyers because it means that you have a little bit more time to actually think through your decision and not feel rushed into making an offer the same day that you take a look at a property.
As far as pricing goes, homes are selling for an average of about 95% of their list price. That means that if a home is listed at $400,000, it's typically selling for around $383,000. Now, that doesn't mean that every home is getting a price reduction. Some homes are still selling at or above their asking price, especially if they're in a desirable area or priced really well from the start. But it does show that there's a little more room for negotiation than there was a year or two ago.
Now let's talk about interest rates, because that's honestly been one of the biggest factors impacting the market over the last couple of years. Right now, the average 30-year fixed mortgage rate is right about 6.2%. Now that's down from where we were last year, closer to 7 or 8%, but it's still significantly higher than the 2 and 3% rates we saw during the COVID pandemic.
These higher rates have definitely affected affordability, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. But the good news is that rates have stabilized a bit, and they're not bouncing around as much as they were 6 months ago.
Now let's dive into some of the good stuff. What are the positive things happening in the Kansas City real estate market right now? First off, affordability is still one of Kansas City's biggest strengths. Even with prices going up slightly and interest rates being higher than we'd like, Kansas City is still one of the most affordable metros in the country. You're getting a lot of home for your money here, and that's a huge advantage, especially if you're relocating from a more expensive market.
For example, we had clients move here from Seattle, and they were absolutely blown away by what they could afford here in Kansas City. A budget that might get you a small condo in a city like that can get you a beautiful single-family home with a great backyard here.
Another positive is that inventory has come up a bit compared to where we were a year ago. It's still a seller's market, but there are more options for buyers to choose from now, which means you're not limited to just a handful of homes in your price range. This is especially true if you're flexible on location or willing to look at homes that need a little bit of work.
One thing we've noticed this year is that buyers who were willing to shop during the off-peak times, like the winter months, had quite a bit of success. We helped several clients get into homes during that time period, and because there was less competition, we were able to negotiate some pretty significant credits and repairs that they might not have gotten in the spring or summer months when the market is a little bit more active.
Let's talk about new construction, because that's a segment of the market that's really been interesting lately. The median price for new construction here in Kansas City is right around $547,000, which is quite a bit higher than the overall median home price like you'd expect. But one of the positives we've seen is that builders have been offering more incentives to move their inventory. We've had clients get things like rate buydowns, closing cost credits, upgrades included at no extra costs, which can really make a big difference when it comes to affordability.
If you've been on the fence about new construction because of that price tag, it's worth having a conversation to see what kind of incentives might be available right now.
For all of the good, the Kansas City market isn't without its challenges though. One of the biggest challenges for buyers right now is still interest rates. Even though they've come down a little bit from their peak, a 6.2% rate is still significantly higher than what a lot of people were hoping for. That higher rate means your monthly payment is going to be more expensive, and it affects how much home you can afford. We've had clients who've had to adjust their budget or their expectations because of the rate environment. And those have been tough conversations.
Another challenge is that in certain price ranges, in certain parts of the city, you're still dealing with multiple offer situations. If you're looking for a home in a really desirable neighborhood or a popular price point, you might find yourself competing with other buyers, and that can definitely be frustrating too. First-time home buyers especially are feeling the squeeze because prices have continued to go up, and saving for a down payment while also dealing with higher rates and rising home prices has been a real challenge. That being said, we're no strangers to multiple offers. And even just last week, we were able to negotiate a win for our buyers against multiple offers.
If you're thinking about possibly moving here, one of the big questions you'll have to answer is where in the metro do you want to land? So we want to spend some time talking about some of the regional differences we see depending on what part of Kansas City you're looking at. If you break it down by area, the Northland, which is the area north of the river on the Missouri side, has a median home price of about $368,000. This area tends to be really popular with families because of the schools and suburban feel, and prices have really held pretty steady here.
As we move to the south side of Kansas City on the Missouri side, you're looking at a median home price of about $232,000, which is significantly lower than the overall metro median. This makes the south side a really attractive option for first-time home buyers or people who are looking to get a little bit more home for their money. You'll find a lot of older homes down here with more character, and it's a great value if you don't mind doing some updates.
Now, if you pop over to the Kansas side, you'll find suburbs like Overland Park, Olathe, and Leawood, and these have a median home price of right around $467,000. This is the priciest part of the metro, but it also tends to have some of the highest rated schools and more upscale amenities. Your money doesn't go quite as far on the Kansas side overall, but a lot of people are willing to pay that premium for the location and the schools.
And what this means for you is that where you choose to live in Kansas City can have a huge impact on what you can afford and what kind of home you can buy. If budget is a major concern, looking at areas like South Kansas City or even parts of the Northland can give you a lot more options. But if schools or a specific lifestyle are your top priorities, it may be worth spending a little bit more to land in an area like Overland Park or Leawood.
So what does all of this mean for the future? Where is the Kansas City market headed? Based on current trends and projections, we're expecting home prices to go up by about 5% in 2026. That's a pretty healthy increase, and it shows that the market is still growing, just at a more sustainable pace than we saw the last few years.
Interest rates are expected to remain relatively stable, so we're not anticipating a huge drop back down to the 3 or 4% range. But we're also not expecting them to spike back up to 8 or 9% either. Most experts think we'll stay somewhere in the 6 to 7% range for the foreseeable future.
The good news is that we're expecting total home sales to increase by a couple of percentage points, which suggests that more people are going to be buying and selling. This could help bring a bit more inventory to the market and create more opportunities for buyers that are looking to move into the area.
We're also seeing an increase in new construction single-family building permits, which is up about 1%. This means that we're going to see more new homes coming to the market, and this is a positive sign for buyers who are looking for more new construction options.
So what should you actually do if you're thinking about buying in Kansas City right now? The biggest piece of advice we can give is that you get pre-approved and know your budget. Interest rates are still a factor, so you need to understand what your monthly payment's gonna look like and make sure you're comfortable with it. Don't just focus on the purchase price, think about the total cost of ownership.
Also, depending on your timeline, it may be worth looking at homes during off-peak times. Like we mentioned before, we had some pretty good success this winter helping buyers who were willing to shop while everyone else was taking a break. There's less competition and sellers are often more motivated to negotiate.
If you're looking at new construction, now's actually a great time to explore what's out there. Like we said, builders are offering incentives and you might actually be able to get a better deal than you might think.
At the end of the day, the Kansas City real estate market has a lot of really good things going for it. It's affordable compared to most of the other major metros around the country, and the market is stable and growing at a fairly healthy pace. And yes, there are challenges like higher interest rates and competition in certain areas, but those challenges are manageable if you have the right strategy and the right team on your side.
If you're thinking about making a move to Kansas City and you want to talk through your specific situation, we would love to help. You can send us an email or click the link down in the description to book a quick call with us. We'll help you figure out the best plan for your goals and your timeline.
And if you want to learn more about specific neighborhoods or parts of Kansas City, check out our other videos where we dive deep into different areas of the metro.